Hey, everybody, what's happening? Good morning. Tommy Scoville, you're on the lifeboat. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. Robin Miners, hello. How are you? Shannon Smith, hope you're doing well. I live for now. Good to see you. It is Monday morning, people. Oh, not gonna lie to you. Excuse me. Wow. Not gonna lie to you, people. I'm dragging. Layla, good to see you. Mittens, 1970. How are you? The Wise Up Show. You're new here. Well, welcome to the Lifeboat. No one's new here. We don't allow that. Step on board, say hello. Everybody here will welcome you, and we'll get this thing underway. Jen, good to see you. Jen Hobbs. Lori Gappel, good to see you. Shannon Smith, how are you? How am I feeling? I've had better days. Love it. Good to see you. Sierra Terry, glad you're here. Did I get any sleep? Yeah. Uh, uh, yeah, I got some. It's getting a little tough for people. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. DeAudrey Gore, how are you? Lynn Sanity. Good to see you, Lynn Sanity. Boy, people. So the Wise Up Show. I won't put you on the spot, but welcome to the Lifeboat. Here's what we do here. Around here, we usually talk about trying to live your best life. There's a lot of people here struggle with that. I struggled with it for a really long time. If you are brand new here, no coffee this morning, people. No coffee this morning. Got up a little late too. If you're brand new here, here's what we do. I'm a recovering drug addict and a bit of a criminal. I went to prison for bank robbery. Then I went to prison for gun running. And the first time I went to prison for possession of stolen property. Most of what I did in my criminal career had to do with stealing. Brenda, good to see you. Welcome. Bacon Bits Ben Turner is here. Downs mom, good to see you. Love it. Glad you're here. Kristen Melinda. Well, now we can get this thing underway. Yeah, no coffee, Kristen. Can you believe this? And I'll tell you why. Because I woke up a little late. Good morning, inappropriate heifer. So what we do here, people, is we normally talk about living our best lives, and a lot of times that takes the shape of remaining sober, but that's not for everybody, right? Because not everybody here is working on the same thing. Lisa Trimble, there you are. Patty Collins, how you doing? It is always good to have you here. So, I was addicted to heroin. Lumen, good to see you. Carol, how are you? Spent a lot of time addicted to heroin, about 3 decades and a little bit of change. And during that time, I went off the rails, off the rails big time, off the plantation, off the foundation. I went a bit crazy. Scooby Lee, good to see you. I started to rob banks. I started to do a lot of crime to support my drug habit. The News Nut. Did I see the News Nut? Hi, all. My oldest is 17 today. She had invited one friend to spend the day with, and they canceled. Sorry, she's heartbroken. You know what? I remember those days. But let me tell you something, News Nut. Let me tell you how effed up life is, right? When I started reading this, and I read, hi, all, my oldest is 17. She had invited one friend to spend the day. I got to the end of that sentence and I thought they did fent and they're dead. How bad is life? I'm not even kidding you. Like I was expecting that sentence to end with, and they overdosed on fentanyl. I'm not joking. When I got to this and they canceled, oh, it's so fantastic. I'm sorry, it really is. It sucks to have somebody cancel on your birthday, but God help us. Every time I read something like that, somebody overdosed and died. So could be a lot worse. It really could. I swear to God, that's what I thought was coming. Scooby, if you're really feeling like that, then you can't go to work, right? That sucks. And it sucks worse if we used to blow off work all the time, right? If you ever go watch my Instagram, people all over the country were telling me not to go to work. My hands were this big. And I kind of went off one day. I think I probably sounded a bit short and snippy, which I wasn't shooting for. But somebody wrote in and said, "Why would you go to work? It doesn't make any sense." And I wrote, "I'm going to work because I was the person that called into work every day for my entire life, right? I was the person, guaranteed. If you said to the boss, hey, so and so called in, they'd go, oh, no, Tommy, guaranteed I was going to be the one to call in. I was a drug addict. I couldn't make it to work, right? It was just way too many things that were going to keep me from going to work, like the inability to have heroin. If I didn't have heroin, I'm not going to work. Roberta, how are you?" So I decided that in the last gig that I was going to go to work. But I tell people all the time, look, if you're not going to be productive, why would you go? You're just costing your boss money at that point anyway, right? If you're too sick to go to work, don't. You're going to make everybody else sick. Leslie, girl, good to see you. I'm being serious. I'm not, take care of everybody else as well. Jamie Smith, how are you? Layla Bradley, there you are. The other side of the planet there. There's Hef. Trying to fall asleep. A little, yeah, well, I do have that effect on people, Hef. I'm guessing you stayed up too late talking to people. Happens to the best of us. Can you leave a message for Spanx here? You can leave a message for Spanx. Your best bet's probably to send it to sober at myyahoo.com. SOBER at myyahoo.com. Please hit the like button, peeps. Says Shannon Smith. Millie the Dandelion, how are you? You know something, folks? You know the best thing about changing your life and getting sober? The best thing about that is that it's one of the only sports out there. He's doing better this morning. Spanky is he's doing better. I think he probably would have liked to have. Let me rephrase that. He would have liked to have gone to work this morning. He absolutely would have liked to have hosted the Lifeboat this morning, and I would imagine he'll do it tonight. I'm not 100% on that. As a speaker, I've done the same thing. I've had extractions and then I pushed it and went back to work. When I was a speaker, I was supporting my family by speaking, right? I was supporting a drug habit by speaking. I was paying the rent. Everything I did speaking. So I went to work and I went to work so many times when I shouldn't, because without drugs, I would get viciously ill. So I just did not miss work. And the number of times that I went there. Oh, yeah, Scooby, you can't be there. You have a toothache. That's not even sick. That's completely different. Your tooth is seeping a liquid just like your sinuses. Yeah, you're not going to work. That wouldn't make any sense. Hold on. Wow. Thank you, you lovely lot. Trying to figure out where it's coming from, but it's a regular. As soon as I finish work, I'll be reading the journal back. Well, how about that? Huh? I'll tell you something. I could not, period. I could not do anything right until I started journaling. Could not do anything right until I started journaling. But I would force myself to go to work. I would do all of those stupid things. How often do you go back to read past journals and to seek help and answers, says Layla Bradley? That's a great question. Here's my answer. When I'm effed up, when I'm not doing well, I'm always going back to read. In the beginning, I used to read what I wrote all the time. I don't anymore. Sometimes I can go a couple of months and I don't read anything that I write. But just because these days things tend to be going better, when I start screwing up, right? When I started screwing up, I would go back and start reading the things. Thanks. Makes me feel like a bad parent. She's such a good kid. And this is the first time she has tried since she was 10 to celebrate. Well, it can't make you feel like a bad parent. It can't. I'm not going to allow that. Wasn't your fault. I mean, you can invite a kid to the birthday party. I have had a similar thing happen. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember, and it's like somebody's tearing out your heart, right? You'd rather have somebody punch you in the face 4 or 5 times than have your kid feel the slightest bit of discomfort, and that sucks. I remember just deciding that I was going to get up and see if I couldn't make the best day for the kid that I could. Being a parent's a shitstorm, isn't it? It really is. It's an absolute shitstorm. We spend all of our time trying to do the best that we can. The best that we can is it's never really up to snuff, is it? I mean, holy hell, has there ever been a really good parent? I had a couple of good ones. I had a couple of really fantastic parents. They didn't do drugs, they didn't party, they didn't beat me, right? They didn't curse around us. We ate every single meal together. They went to all of my sporting events. I was very well taken care of. I wasn't spoiled rotten, but I had very nice clothing. Things were really pretty damn good at my house, right? We had pets. We went on great vacations. Like if you looked at it from a distance, we had the perfect American little house. We really did. I grew up on a ton of land. We could go outside and play forever. There was no cars driving by. It was a very, very kind of Norman Rockwell kind of place to grow up. And I robbed banks and went to prison after becoming a heroin addict. It's not really a lot to Hello, on my Becky Lynn. Good to see you. My siblings all did great. So what's the deal? Is I was built bad. Right? What was wrong with me? Well, I'm a drug addict. Right? My siblings, two of my siblings didn't have to wrestle with that. Right? But I sure as hell did. Some days I call it a parenting win that I kept my 5-year-old alive. It's Kristen Belinda. I remember those days too. A lot more when they were 2, huh? I think it was an awful lot tougher when they were 2. When they were 2, it was just every time you look around, you go, holy hell, I can't believe he didn't hit his head on that table. Holy hell, I can't believe that didn't fall on him. Spanx was absolutely the most amazing kid in the world. I had so much fun playing with my son. I really did. I loved it. But he was an absolute lunatic. You could not, he was absolutely impossible to keep under control. People would, I remember people saying to me that what used to piss me off more than anything in the world, people would go, ooh, he's such a handful, huh? I'd go, you know what? I'm going to give you a handful in a second. Right? Back off. I'm going to give you a handful. The primary issues with borderline personality disorder are extreme emotions. That's an absolute fact. And having Miradira, hello, how are you? Glad that you're here. So listen, folks, now that we're kind of underway, and now that I feel like we got a fairly decent sized house here, today's Monday. It is Monday, right? I think last time I looked, it was Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. I got to check because from time to time I screw up. I want to tell you some really cool things real quick. Today is Monday, June the 3rd, right? Now I'm at my friend Quibble's house, and I'm working like a mover. I'm packing stuff up and getting it ready to move. We're working pretty hard to knock this thing out, and I'm pretty happy about that. I really am. But the stress of life has the ability to kind of take you out, and at the same time, it gives you the ability to kind of, I don't know, really become part of the world that you're living in, right? It's yeah, Jeremy Schultz, he absolutely was. And if you had any idea, so that's no joke that Spanky's mom was actually called her name was Rosemary. And boy, when he was first born, that was one of those things people would go, stop saying that, because people would be like, especially because I would drop him off at a daycare center, right? And there he would go into the nursery with 15, 16 other kids while I went to work, and this is Rosemary's baby. I'd go, oh God, don't say that, man. Can you call him my kid? Right? Stop calling him Rosemary's baby. The reason that I mentioned this whole moving thing, you know what yesterday was, people? Yesterday was June 2nd. Right? June 2nd, for me, is one of those dates. This is one of those dates, right? It's tattooed on my body. This is one of those dates that just gets me and has for a really long time. There are a whole hosts of things that have taken place in my life on the 2nd of June, all life-changing events. And it's just one of those days that I don't look forward to at all. It's one of those days that I start getting bummed out about 20 days before June 2nd gets there. I'm not kidding. A couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks before June 2nd rolls around, I start thinking about it, right? I start building up this crap in my mind because it's one of those days, right? If I'm going to relapse, it's one of those days that would just be a great day to relapse. It's just so many things in my life that I can look back on and go, oh, that was awful, or oh, that was fantastic. And it's really a shame it's gone. Like that kind of thing. A lot of June 2nd stuff. Um, it's the only date I have anywhere on my body, right? I don't have numbers tattooed on me. I'm not a big math fan, but it's a kind of an epic day. I didn't realize yesterday was June the 2nd until this morning. That's a win. That's a win, right? I'm not going to lie to you. That's a win. Yesterday came and went. It's not exactly true. So last night at about probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? As the second was turning into the third, I was checking something on my phone, and I went, "Holy hell!" That day just went by. That's huge. That really is. That is a win. To make no mistake, that's a win. It's also a pretty good indicator. It's also a pretty good indicator of what the the mind and the spirit's capable of, right? And that whole 8-minute thing. 817, what's happening? Casey, good to see you. It's doesn't hurt that I'm in wild cognitive decline, but um, just as importantly, idle time, I don't have any of it. Don't have any of it. I don't have 6 minutes of downtime. That's good. It really is. I don't have 6 minutes of downtime in the course of a day because I'm helping my best friend move. Then we're working against the clock, right? And we're working against the clock. And Jimena, good to see you. And on top of that, this is it's a bit of a pressure cooker. Okay, this is my friend is recently divorced, and you know what? There's no such thing as being happy about that. There really isn't. I know that there's a relief. I know that but when you get a divorce, you're getting a divorce from somebody that you stood next to and said, "I'm going to kick it whether you're sick or not. I'm not going anywhere until you die." Right? Think of the vows we say. Doesn't matter if you're healthy. Doesn't matter. No matter what happens, man. No, I'm not sickness, health, forsaking all others. It's just going to be you. So no matter how much of a relief it is for that to be over, it always steals a chunk of your soul, doesn't it? It always has to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm different, but it leaves a mark, doesn't it? So that's kind of compound to it going on. It's I would imagine divorce is like death, brings a lot of mixed emotions, says Miradira. Yeah, yeah, you mourn what could have been, says Mac817. Yeah, it's still a relationship you grieve, no question. Like Lisa Trimble says, also have issues with abandonment and depression, suffering today. Not sure I can stay. I need this, and all of you. Love you, Tommy and crew. Lisa, if you can't stay, then just listen. Don't type, just turn it down. Sometimes you'll hear something. Sometimes you don't. But there are times, however. Darcy, I tell you what, man. Yeah, it's nice to close that chapter. No, I agree with you. It's nice to close that chapter and open up another one, right? Beautiful thing. To be sure it is. But it leaves a mark. Nobody goes, "Oh, awesome." Right? It just leaves a mark. It's one of those things. So, I'm kind of dealing with that. I ain't mine, right? I haven't done one of these in years, but my best friend's going through it. And she's a toughie, but she's not as tough as you guys think. Not trying to be I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all to my best friend, but she looks a whole lot tougher on TV than she really is. My other's keeper, good to see you. So I'm kind of coping with that. But guess what happened this morning, man? This is a big deal. I finished work at 5 UK time. Please shout if you ever want another. Okay, nice. Millie, I dig it. So here's the thing, peeps. What you can do. I'm sitting there last night and I'm looking down at the clock and at the phone, and I realized that it is no longer the second. And I thought, I can't remember. I cannot remember the last time that the second came and went that I didn't have a meltdown, that it didn't absolutely destroy a week of my life. Right? I'm not talking about a day. This day, this anniversary, this this day that I remember all of these things that happened, screws me up for a week and has caused me to relapse on multiple occasions. There's been multiple years I didn't get through the first week in June because of June the 2nd, because I needed an excuse to get high, and that was a good one to relapse. But June the 2nd was always a really good day to do that. You know why I haven't been worrying about that? Because I've been worrying about her. Not kidding, right? I've been worrying about my best friend. There's a life lesson in here, I think. Honestly, I think there's a fairly important life lesson. I think this is why this is the anniversary month of being sober. Shannon Smith doesn't happen until the end of the month, but it is the anniversary of my sobriety. I got hooked on a line of this one song recently. It's just a bad day, not a bad life. That one cuts deep. You know what? This servitude crap, I talk about this a lot, and I know people think I'm nuts. I know people think I'm insane. But this whole helping other people thing, you know why so many people do it? Because you don't have to concentrate on your own crap if you're helping other people, right? For real. You're not going to sit and focus on how messed up you are if you're working with somebody else who might be going through it, right? You're probably concentrating on the things that are hurting your friends if that's what you're working with, if that's what you're working on. I'm not suggesting that you do that at the at the expense of your own mental health, because I tried that. It's not such a great idea, it really isn't. But this servitude thing, there's really something to it. There's really something to it. If you're preoccupied with friendship and being of service, there's a chance that those shitty days that you think you can't get through, they might just go zipping right by, and you might go, holy hell, is today the 3rd? For all of you pearl clutchers, I got a text last night from one of you that said, are the two of you sleeping together? She's divorced now. So friggin' inappropriate. It really is. In answer to your question, no. However, and makes life a lot more interesting and fun, it's not sleeping where she used to sleep either, right? That kind of happens at the end of those divorce things too, which makes for just another really easy situation, right? So this is tough. Did getting divorced make any of you dive into addiction even more? Well, let me tell you how it works. On my first divorce, when I got divorced the first time, I went from doing about 2.5 grams of heroin a day to doing 7 grams of heroin a day inside of a year. I also went from, this is live now, KTS worker. I also went from, I went off the rails so hard after my first divorce. It was crazy. Lumen, on the bright side, this wasn't a phone call. I don't, what it is, people, is that there's a lot of ways you can reach out and touch me. It's not that difficult to reach out and touch me, because if I make it hard to get a hold of me, then helping people is a little bit tougher, right? Carol, have a fantastic day. Uh, so yeah, there's a lot of ways you can get a hold of me. But my first divorce sent me absolutely off of the rails. I started robbing banks, started doing a lot of really messed up things. KTS Worker says today is the 7th day without alcohol. That gets the official participation trophy of the Lifeboat. It's official because we say it is. Normally, the official one is on the other side of the country. But since I'm on this side of the country, we were borrowing this one from my friend. It's always convenient when you're moving stuff because there's something everywhere. Uh, so after the divorce, yeah, I did. I went way off the deep end. I love the fact that my partner isn't. You've been without power for 6 days from tornado storms, and I'm reacclimating to life with power. Um, I'm not busting your chops, KTS Worker, at all. But it seems like the amount of time you've been without power seems to coincide with the amount of time you've been off alcohol. Is this or you've been sober? Is this a coincidence? Or are you not using because you couldn't get out to get the stuff? I'm not busting chops either. One of my closest associates got sober that exact same way. He was a heroin addict who got stuck on an island, and the bridge to the island got washed out. It was so he decided he would swim. Can't say I blame him. It's exactly what I would have done. I was a much better swimmer. He found out he couldn't do it. He couldn't make that swim. I would have no problem, even sick. But yeah, it's you can use anything as a great motivator. So you guys are the best. You really are. And I'll keep it real. It is hard, right? It's hard because what we do, everybody fails at, right? Which means you fail at, right? You do. Nobody gets it the first try. Bingo! KTS Worker. Use that as a sign, my friend. You had help from Mother Frickin' Nature, right? That's not an accident. It's not an accident. Stay sober, right? It's a beautiful thing. You got through the tough part. If your drug of choice was alcohol, you got through it, right? People, I don't know if you know this, but quitting alcohol or benzos cold turkey can kill you. You could have gotten stuff. I believe you could have. If you really wanted to, you could have. So good for you, man. Good for you. Congratulations. That's good stuff. You know what, people? If you're not being successful at the moment, if you don't have any days of sobriety, right, no big deal. The beautiful thing is this game that we play, nothing on earth is more important than your sobriety. There isn't anything on earth more important than your sobriety. You can spit out anything you want right now, and I will tell you why there's no chance it's more important than your sobriety. God, family, don't care. Because you'll trade all of that, right, for a fix if that's where you get to. You will give up everything else for that fix. I promise you, right? I did. There was nothing on earth. I mean, I would have drop kicked a baby to get a fix while I was a junkie. It was just that thing. Mother Nature and the cicadas are so loud that I'm listening with my super focus. Got to have those headphones on to stay focused on the lifeboat. Wow. Well, I know this is a rugged year on cicadas. 3 swarms apparently. 3 different swarms are all coming to the same time. Nikki Power, good to see you. I don't know if I've ever said hello to Nikki Power, but if I have not, hello and welcome. Mother freaking nature kind of destroyed me. Didn't swim, waited to see what the other end would be. Love it, Shannon Smith. Love it. Okay, so I know somebody said how freaking rude that somebody would ask me if the two of us were sleeping together. You know what's crazy? I get it. Get it. I don't even think they were trying to be rude. I think that you get very invested in the people that you watch. And my partner's going through it, right? This is a shit situation, and people are worried, and they're worried that how her head is, right? And they also probably think, you know what? So now she's officially divorced. What do? Go lay down next to the person? That's probably not very realistic. I wonder if she's sleeping with Tommy, right? I don't even think that the people are being. I don't think it's one of those. I mean, they didn't go, "Hey, you guys effing." It was nothing like that. It was I think it's people that just sometimes they maybe don't think things through to its fruition. How is my head? I'm happy for my friend, right? I'm really happy for my friend. The um, the kind of the kind of stress that moving puts onto somebody is the worst stress in the world. There's nothing worse. So I'm worried for my friend because when you throw on top of that a divorce, right? And not particularly, I guess it's a friendly divorce if there's such thing as a friendly divorce, but I don't think there is. Jen, good to see you. There's no such thing as a friendly divorce. There's just not. And and you know what? She Vinny Spanky is absolutely the captain. He had oral surgery this week, so I'm pinch hitting for him. I used to do this a lot, so I figured I would stand in there for him until he gets back. He's absolutely coming back. My experience with oral surgery and public speaking, because believe it or not, I have done it more than once, and watched other people do it. I'm not going to let him get dry socket or any of those. But he'll be back. Make no mistake. Jeremy Shelton says Typo Negative was a decent band. Do you know that I saw Typo Negative and got backstage? Someday I'll tell you a really foul story about that band. I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. I went backstage for Typo Negative, and there were a couple of other bands. My days with the Thrill Kill Cult, I think they were there too. It was just friggin' disturbing, but I'm not going to do that today. Anyone that has watched you long enough knows you're not a dog looking for a bone. Oh, I don't know. But I'm not looking for one right now, right? And I'm not looking for one right here. But all of these things, it's not easy for the person who's upstairs either. And whether or not you believe it, I feel for that cat too. This just sucks for all parties involved. And it adds a level of stress that today I'm thankful for. Right? For real. I got through my problems because I wasn't thinking about them. Yesterday was June the 2nd, and that day came and went like this. And I'll tell you something, people. That day became important to me 26 years ago, 27 years ago. Yeah, 26 or 20, a long time ago, right? I haven't had a good June 2nd since. And I don't mean that, but I've relapsed on June 2nd 10 times, 15 times. I don't know. Or maybe they weren't relapse. Maybe I was just using to get, I don't know. Maybe it was my excuse to just go get wasted again. But June 2nd's always been a bitch of a day. And it wasn't at all for me yesterday because I was really worried about somebody else. And I'm telling you, there's a life lesson in that. But here's my favorite life lesson. Oh, I went backstage to meet Steve Winwood, but found George Clinton in Parliament of Funk instead. No joke. I'll tell you what, you can do a lot worse than meeting George Clinton, right? Are you kidding me? Parliament Funk? Oh, man. Uh, Funk, Parliament. Yeah, I'd have freaked out for that, man. But I'm also a huge Stevie Winwood fan. Stevie Winwood was really good friends with Jerry Garcia. Two of them used to spend a lot of time together. In fact, they used to check into rehab. They would go out and get really spun on heroin, and then they would go check in instead of kicking it. I guess when you got money, right? Just go get really really strung out and then head off to Betty Ford instead of having to get sick. Seems like a nice idea if you got the money. Can't think of a better name. Y'all pray for my strength and patience. I don't want to snap at loved ones trying to help me with everything, but this grieving process sucks. You know what? I hate, I'm really sorry for you because we know what you're going through. I don't mean we feel it and we understand and all that. We're aware because you've made us aware of what you're going through. And it makes what I'm doing right now seem pretty simple, doesn't it? Okay? What I'm doing on a scale of 1 to 10 is about a 6, but can't think of a better name as going through a 10. You know what? This is your problem, right? This is your trauma. This is your crisis. This is your death. Sorry, but it is. And what you just said, you should be able to say to people when you're the one who's suffering. I don't mean to us. I'm glad you say it here, right? Come here, dump it on us. That's what we talk about, right? Don't suffer in silence. Come here and talk about it. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to. You have the right to say that to the people you love. I think you'll be really surprised at how well they take it. Yeah, you can say to them, I really appreciate you trying to help me, right? But I feel like twisting some people's heads off right now because this grieving process, I'm struggling through it. And I know you want to help, but all of that helping is making me want to stomp you out like a brush fire. So maybe you guys could give me just a little bit more room, or maybe just don't let me hear your voice for the next 4 or 5 hours. You may be blown away by this concept, but people who are around grieving people would love to hear something like that, right? What do we do when people are grieving? We go like this. We walk around and we think, need that, right? Is there anything I can do, right? And we just continue to ask people if we can do something for them until they want to hit you in the head and go, yeah, you could leave me alone. Honestly, I love you. Maybe sit in the room and don't say anything. I like that you're here trying to help. Just leave me alone for a little bit. Don't try to help so much. Honestly, I think it's a relief to hear stuff like that. Vinny says, Tommy, have you ever done whippets, also known as hippie crack, NO2? Yeah, I've done whippets. I've done a lot of them. I've done them in crackers, those little things that you put balloons on the end of. I've done them in the larger bottles, the guns that you can screw 2 whippet canisters, the little small silver ones, into and blow up that way so you don't have to use a balloon. Just do it off the end of it, right? And then your voice drops. Instead of doing it like helium, which causes your voice to go up, nitrous will make your voice drop an octave and your lips turn blue. I used to sell nitrous oxide. That was one of my hustles for a really long time on at the parking lot at Grateful Dead shows. $5 nitrous balloons, massive ass, huge balloons at $5 a piece. And believe it or not, you could get about 1,000 of those off of one of the big 90-pound tanks. And it's like $5,000. It was a great hustle. It kept me on tour with the Dead. Nitrous oxide, believe it or not, is a very safe gas to breathe, but you're not supposed to breathe it as much as you do when you're getting high, right? The idea is that you use it usually in association with oxygen, right? They're putting oxygen too, so that you're not, it's not, what do they call it? Hypoxia. You're not suffering from a lack of oxygen, but they're raising enough of the nitrogen, the nitrous oxide in the body so that you can maintain a really good buzz. While continuing to breathe oxygen. Whippets are great. It feels a lot like a crack hit almost, except it is kind of hippie crack, right? You get that, wow, 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 kind of bell ringing kind of buzz, and you get this sort of auditory hallucinations where everything starts sounding like a freight train. Yeah, they're pretty. They're not great for you, especially if you're doing them out of the little silver canisters. Trouble with that is the way that you break those canisters, right? You need either a cracker, you need a pin, right? And as you screw it in, that pin pokes a hole, and little pieces of metal, right, end up in your lungs. I promise you can research this. I'm not making it up. Not good. Max says, maybe this could be a turning point to say June 2nd. Go away now. Well, here's the crazy thing, man. I kind of don't want it to go away. I really don't. It's an epic day. I just want the hurting to go away. Jimena says, hey, Tommy, I need advice. My husband came to me and he said he is doing therapy. I'm not sure if it's a trick or how to take it. What do you recommend? He says he wants to get sober. Tell him that's a great idea. He should get sober, right? That's a great idea. And he's doing therapy, also a great idea. If both of those things are true, then his therapist is saying to him on a regular basis, you're not planning on trying to go back and get in that relationship again, right? You need to get, your what in order before you start going and trying to take care of a relationship. You really need to make sure that you're solid. I personally have been working on that for going on 9 years. I don't think I'm ever going to be ready. I really don't. But I'm a lot more ready now than I was when I was saying to people, "Hey, I just started therapy, trying to get sober." You meant this is it's beautiful news, right? Because you too said, "Till death do us part," right? You are the most important thing in this equation, Jimena. With all due respect to your husband, I don't really care about him. I'm sorry, I don't. Right? I don't know who he is. He's never come to my meetings. He doesn't. He doesn't throw super chats. I have not. I don't have any point of reference at all who this cat is. I know who you are, right? And I don't want anything to happen to you. So what you need to do is say to him, "I would love to see that happen. We'd love to have you back in our lives, sober." Right? So if you're really doing that in a month or so, I'll come to a couple of these therapy meetings with you. Right? Once, because doing it now is pointless. He needs a base. He needs to start working on himself. And you coming into the picture, well, very often what that means is you're the carrot, right? The carrot and the stick. You're the carrot. You're why he's getting sober. And that's, people go, you can't get sober that way. I did. I got sober for other people. Nothing wrong with that. There isn't. When you first start quitting, your husband, if he really wants to get sober right now, and that's really the way he's going, he probably hates himself. He's been horrible to you. He probably hates himself. And for those out there going, oh, they're not like that. I hated myself. Oh, babe, I hated myself. And I never hit women or did anything like that, but I hated myself for how I was to everybody. Right. So when I quit, I had to quit for somebody else. I could not quit for myself. But I wasn't worth a shit. I wasn't, not for a long time. He needs to quit for him, right? Or for you, but he needs to stay far enough the hell away from you guys. He needs to give you the respect that you are due. He was horrible to you, right? I'd want to see a lot of sobriety before I'd start being comfortable going back with someone that was horrible to me. And I can't answer the question whether or not you would even want him back. Now, as the father, he needs to get his ass back, whether he likes to or not, right? You got to do that. You're a dad. You don't get out of that one even with divorce, right? You're a dad. That's just not how it works, man. My son and my son's mother and I divorced when he was 11. Right? What would have happened if I bailed on him at 11? I don't need to be with him anymore. I got divorced. Not my kid. It's her kid. No, man. But was I great for him when I was using? No. Spanky needed me as far away from him as possible when I was using. I was dangerous. I mean, dangerous to myself. I wasn't going to do anything to the kid, but I'm liable to nod out and driving or something. I shouldn't be near kids. I shouldn't be near anybody. When I'm using, I shouldn't be. It's great that he's doing therapy, right? But you're going to have to see some wicked improvement. Well, look at that. What do you know? It's good that he's doing therapy, but his behavior needs to improve. That's the real test. Just my small 2 cents. I think it's a fairly decent sized 2 cents as far as it goes. I think that actually it is. His friend tried to do a whip it once. He wasn't very smart, got confused, and thought they were talking about the dog breed. Very difficult to get into one of those canisters. The season of fall is kind of a trigger for me. I made my worst decisions in the fall, which I tend to romanticize, which makes it worse. I got to get really busy in the fall. This is why that every once in a while you must sit down, right? And you need to journal about things very specifically. I personally know, I made a trigger list when I first started to get sober. Q said to me, make a list of everything that triggers you. And I said, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Right. This was a concept that I could figure out what a trigger is, but this was a concept I had never heard of. And he said, the things that you see something and it makes you instantly think of heroin and that you want to go and use. And I honestly thought he was effing with me. Right. I'm like, oxygen. I'm not being funny. Like I get up in the morning and every single thing I look at makes me think about fixing until I do. right? Everything on earth is a trigger. And he explained that no, there were things that, that are sort of, if that is the case, that oxygen just makes you want to use. Is there anything that makes you want to use so much that it stands out? And I go, oh yeah, the ex, right? That was a good one. Whenever I'm around her, but knowing when those triggers are, the first snowfall. I live in Arizona now; it's not a big deal. But the first snowfall of every year was such a trigger to me that when I first started to get sober, I just didn't go out. If I knew it was snowing, I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to feel it on my skin. I wasn't going outside for any reason because it's just always been such a trigger. Every test in our lives makes us bitter or better. Every problem comes back to break us or make us. Every day is filled with challenges and choices. Make no mistake. And every one of those, just as our friend just said, is a opportunity. Today's Monday. You know what Monday is? Monday is a new chance. Sounds like a friggin' public speaker, right? Sounds like one of those motivational guys. This is the first day of the rest of your life. Monday is a brand new start every single week. If you think I'm wrong, well, then you're not putting a lot of effort into this. I don't mean the effort of trying to stay sober. I mean the effort of using your friggin' gray matter. If you don't realize that every single Monday the week starts anew, right? We show up at work, we kick off the weekend. Well, if you're a douche nozzle, if you're an absolute jack off that nobody at work likes, show up on Monday and be completely different. Show up and do a 180. Be that person that shows up and they go, "What the hell happened to Tommy? Huh? I'm not playing. What the hell happened to Shannon, Jimena, whoever?" Even if we stumble and become the victim, we can choose to learn the lesson, dust ourselves off, and choose to try again to be the victor. I like it. I really do. Don't give up so easily because happiness, joy, and love are just around the corner. The more anger and hate you release, the more room you have in your heart for love. That may be the best thing you've ever said. There is so much truth to that. There is so much truth to that. It's my fidget cube feels like an ice cube, right? Except it's not cold. It's a blown glass. And it's in my hand almost all the time when I'm talking, but it's such a great example because see this thing right here? Let's get rid of that. Look at that. So that cannot occupy the same place, right? We would have to move one in order to put the other one there. That is the same way with emotions, same way with feelings, with thoughts. It's not an easy thing to be pissed off like you want to kill someone at the same time that you feel like you're in love and you want to marry somebody. And people will go, "Oh, I felt like that." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Go ahead and convince yourself that you did, but you didn't. We don't do that. We're not capable of it. Well, I multitask. No, you don't. You don't. You may think you got two things that your brain thinks one thought at a time. I don't care who you are. You're not capable of doing two. We can do a lot of really wild things. We can't have two thoughts at the same time. It just doesn't happen. So changing thoughts becomes a superpower. I'm not kidding you. Pushing negativity out of your mind and bringing something positive in, that's a superpower, people. Lisa Trimble says, "I was so angry after my divorce. Eventually, I started drinking again. My disease convinced me that binge drinking for days was okay because I would stop for several weeks and then start again." Well, we all talk ourselves into some of the dumbest crap in the entire world. Yeah. As addicts, we literally, we become the greatest salespeople in the world. And we talk ourselves into things that make absolutely no sense, right? As an opiate addict, the person who's addicted to heroin, you know what my plan used to be all the time? Honest to God, about 7 times a year, I would buy an ungodly amount of heroin, right? And it was usually I would hustle a friend or relative, somebody who was close to me. I'd say, "I'm going to get clean. Like I'm dead serious. I'm going to get clean." They're going, "You go to rehab?" No. I'm going to step myself off of this crap. I got a plan. And then I would buy a huge amount of smack. And then I would go somewhere like away from society and I would have it chunked out so that on the first day I could do 7 grams. right? And on day 2, I would do an iota under 7 grams. And then the next day, I might be doing 6.5, or just going to step it down, right? It's going to take 35 days. But at the end of that 35 days or whatever, it's going to take 60 days. And at the end of that first week, I'd be out of dope. By day 5, I would be out of dope. Guaranteed. Didn't matter how much I brought. Bring a friggin' kilo. By the end of the first week, I would have gone through it. I didn't have the capacity to do any of these silly things, right? We're going to control it by doing this, this, or this. The fact that you feel like you got to control it means you can't. If you're coming up with ways that you're going to be able to drink or drug or do any of those things safely, right? The fact you need that thought means you can't do it safely. Trust and believe. If we stumble and become the victim, we can choose to learn the lesson, dust ourselves off. Love that. I really do. I love that. I really do. This last fall, I found the boat, so it went a little better. Also fantastic, right? You know what, Jeremy Shelton? That's legit. Jeremy Shelton says one of my biggest triggers is Sister Act. Or a dead tune. Oh, that's just wrong. Makes me think of my mom. Those tiny little triggers can be the hardest. Really? Sister Act is foul. I hated that film. I really did. It was awful. But the smallest of triggers can absolutely destroy you. Teresa Baldessari, fantastic to see you. The smallest triggers, no joke, can set you off. DNV 1983, good to see you. Jimena, please don't take any crap. Right? You got all kinds of power in this situation. It's really hard because you begin to think that you have absolutely no power, right? You know, your life spins out of control, and this man who's not been great to you is now coming back in, and you feel like it's unraveling. You control your life. You do. You control your life. I just need to not kill the people that I'm working with today. Does that make me a bad person? No. If you were in the closet thinking, how am I going to get away with killing these people today? That would make you a bad person. The fact that you don't want to kill them probably means you're a pretty good person, right? If you were calling me saying, Tommy, listen, do you have some Visqueen and a shovel? Right? You got any lye? Now we're starting to get into that area that's a little bit dicier. Tracy Range, good to see you. But I'm not at all bummed out with wanting to not kill someone. I think that's probably a good thing. Tracy Range says, nah, Shannon, that just makes you human. I agree. Jeremy Shelton says, of course, when you eat peas, they become inner peas. Perfect for carbs and energy. Inner peas are important. Make no mistake. A 13-year-old Japanese student told me her favorite movie was Sister Act. So out of left field, I was floored. Out of curiosity, did you? I'm not sure how schools in Japan are. You know what I mean? I don't have any point of reference. I've only used things over here. You know, schools over here. But if there was a child over here that said that, I would get them to a guidance counselor as quickly as possible. Maybe try to intervene in some way. Maybe some long-term psychiatric care, because any child at that age who is already starting to go down that road, you know what I mean? If her favorite movie is Sister Act at 13, I mean, do you have any idea what could happen to this child by 18 if it runs unchecked? Do you see that? That's literally magic, right? Out of the blue, a coffee just magically appears in my hand. You got to love that. That's Quibs there. Our brains have so little processing power. It's why we run scripts so often. You can break people off their script, like checkout people. And when you do, you can see them having to think for a second. You know what? So right. It's absolutely spot on. This is fascinating to me. You can watch people derail. People who are so used to doing something that, you know, the term rote, right? It's rote learning. We've done it so many times that you spit it out, right? And you're right. You can watch people who get just the slightest bit off And the next thing you know, uh, your brain is not used to it at all. We really are creatures of habit, right? And I think, yeah, maybe it's a lack of processing. I've never thought about it in terms of a lack of processing power, but I suppose that makes sense. As long as I just joke about trips to the swamp with people, it's fine. Coffee usually makes dealing with people better. No question. Coffee is absolutely huge. You like what I say about the definition of forgiveness for yourself and others. Violet Butterfly. Well, that's, yeah, I did we talk about forgiveness a lot here. Um, it's, uh, it's kind of important, isn't it? I like it when cashiers break me off the script, says B. Hendricks. Yeah, maybe. DeAudrey Gore says, I enjoyed Sister Act as a tween, not as good as Nuns on the Run. You know what? Um, the things I liked as a teenager really have changed. It's wild when you go back and watch things, how some hold up over time and some are horrific. You go back and watch it and go, how did I laugh at this? Right? What was wrong with me as a human being when I laughed? And it's not being funny. I've watched some stuff that I go back and I go, like, the person I am today would be offended at everything this person is saying. How did I find this funny 30 years ago? Who was I then? And was it the people around me? Like, honestly, I've seen things recently that really made me question who the hell I was when I was younger. Oh my goodness. Tracy Range, you know what? So this is Monday. And as I was saying, Ted Cosby says, Tommy, am I still welcome here if I put bourbon in my coffee? Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I know tons of people that put bourbon in their coffee. Hold on one second. Don't worry about putting bourbon in your coffee. Not in terms of us giving up on you. No, see, this is what we like to say here. Sorry, people, but apparently the cat or the dog kicked out the cord. So let me tell you how this works, my friend. All right, let me tell you how this works. Um, Ted, we hope you decide that you'd like to quit drinking. Okay. The shame stuff you can leave at the door because shame is absolutely worthless. Right. We're not going to, doesn't get anything done here. Right. It's got no place here. Honestly, we're not going to deal with shame. Maybe after you sober a while, we can go back and talk about that stuff. But until you decide that you want to be sober, right, we want you to keep coming here. And when the time comes that you say, this is it, I'm going to get sober, we'll hold your hand. We'll tell you how we did it. Right? We'll ask you not to suffer in silence, and we'll walk you through the entire process. Until that day, we'd kind of like to hold your hand, right? And be there for you and walk you through the whole process. We're all drug addicts, whether it was alcohol or something else, Ted. I put a needle in my arm every day for 30 days. I mean, for 30 years. That's not entirely true. I wore my veins out and I had to start smoking, but I did heroin every day for 30 years, right? To get the money for that, I robbed banks, stole from people, ran guns. I don't think you can imagine the terrible stuff that I've done in my life. I don't do it today. And I started judging myself pretty harshly about 9 years ago, because 9 years ago, I became a human being. And I'm going to start holding myself to the standard of a human being. I'm not going to kick the crap out of myself for the stuff I did before that because I let heroin take the wheel. Right? Nobody in their right mind robs more than one bank. Well, nobody in their right mind robs one bank. But if you rob a bunch of them, you're certainly not in your right mind. Well, I wasn't in my right mind. And Ted, with all due respect, who puts bourbon in their coffee, right? Before they start their day? No one in their right mind. Now it's the bourbon making the decision, bro. I'm not mad at you. I'd be pissed off if you leave, if you really want to know the truth. We don't want anybody who's drinking to leave. Right? Sober people, I'd rather have sober people leave than people that are drinking. 6 weeks sober after a bad car crash. No control over drink and drugs. Flemwad. The fact that you can say, I have no control over drugs and alcohol, over drinks and drugs, is the first brick in the rest of your life. I'm not shitting you. That is the cornerstone, right? That you lay your entire life on. When I said, I can't control heroin, cannot stop, right? Once the first even granular of that crap, right? 1 grain of that gets into my body, I'm going to keep doing it until they arrest me and put me in prison. That's it. Doesn't make me a bad person, right? Makes me a drug addict. Doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't make Ted a bad person, right? Doesn't make Flemwad a bad person. It really doesn't. Where did you get the glass cube? I want to add one to my fidget toys to help me quit smoking. 2 are coming today for starting tomorrow. Good. I will send you an email today. This was not mine. This was a gift to my partner. Quibs got this from, and it's somebody from the. It's one of our subscribers. I think I don't know. If it's from Quib's channel or from our channel together. The other one we do. I don't know, but somebody sent it to Quibs, and I've been playing with it. I mean, I commandeered this puppy. She is not getting this back for real. I've been playing with this nonstop. I don't know if you can see that, but it goes up on one side and it's got like a little lip, and my thumb. It's just, I absolutely love this. She is going to continue to be Quibs, Roberta. She's keeping the Quibs name until she decides to marry again or whatever she decides she's going to do. Jen says, I loved Who Framed Roger Rabbit as a kid. I watched it as an adult, and I was upset with my parents for allowing me to watch it. You know something? I've gone through that too, where I watch things and I go, usually it's me though. I'll watch it and I'll go, holy crap, I let my kid watch this. What the hell was I thinking back then? You know, honestly, awful. So glad you're here, Flemwad. I really am. And Ted, man, listen, that shame stuff, Ted, completely worthless. I mean that with all due respect. Absolutely worthless. It doesn't do squat in the process of helping. The world wants you to feel guilty for the disease you have. You hear that? The world wants you to feel guilty for the disease you have. Why? Well, because they're superior to you. They don't have your disease. You're weak. You can't control alcohol. Watch me. I can control alcohol. Why? I drink every weekend. Right? Those people are self-righteous pieces of crap. Okay? Get rid of them. They're more fun to get rid of than your drinking habit, I promise. Cut people out of your life that don't get it. You have a disease. I'm not giving you an out. I promise. You're not getting a free pass from me. I run the Lifeboat. I'm not giving anybody a free pass. But I'm not going to bust your chops for things you didn't have the ability to control. You're not making the decisions. I'm going to slap you around for decisions you had no ability to make. Doesn't make any sense at all. Body Illusion says, Quibs is totally cool. Been divorced for 40 years and people still call me Miller. You know what? There are people that still call me Miller. And I ditched that for Scoville about officially. I started doing the Scoville thing 7 years ago. There's still tons of people that call me by my last name, my old last name, I should say. Feeling shame just keeps us stuck in a cycle. Use so you feel shame, which makes you feel bad, so you use to make the shame feel better. Genius, right? Sounds kind of basic. It should. But there's no joke to this at all, right? Especially, we use my drug of choice. And Ted, I hope you're still listening. My drug of choice, again, was smack. But heroin removes shame and guilt like a light switch. Like a light switch. You can feel guilty for stealing your kids' Christmas money, right, to get dope with, or pawning off your kids' inheritance to go get dope with. You will feel like you are the worst piece of crap on earth. You'll be damn near ready to unalive yourself until that plunger hits the bottom of that syringe. And then all guilt is gone. All of it. You do not feel bad at all for the stuff that you just did. But you know what? The clock's ticking. And in 8.5 hours, you're going to feel guilty. Not just for that, but for everything you've ever done in your life. I promise. It's coming, and it's coming fast. That's a rugged way to live, right? That is a rugged way to live. It's like an Austin Powers character. I eat because I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy because I eat. I'm going to go fight. Somebody I haven't seen in a while. That's a great scene, actually. And I mean, it may be tongue in cheek, but God help us, it's real, right? It is absolutely real because one person's syringe is another person's gambling ticket, right? 4-team parlay or somebody's, poker chips. It doesn't matter what your addiction is. We're all in the same boat. Our friend that's putting bourbon in his coffee, right, is not struggling with a different disease than the person who's bumming money to go to the casino. Absolutely no difference. Same disease, same disease. I promise. The only difference is the poison itself, and it's kind of irrelevant. I know that doesn't feel irrelevant, especially if your particular drug of choice is in your face, right? Yes. So my ancestors had a cool job. That's right. Unlike, I don't know if you caught the show yesterday. God, was that funny. Somebody was mentioning some of the more popular surnames in other parts of the world. And there's been a couple where you think, what did your ancestors do? B. Hendricks says, yeah, you have the control to not reach for it. Therein lies the control. Like the people who say, that I know people who can do opiates. They can get high on opiates for a weekend and then not do it again for the rest of their life. They don't have a problem with it. I am just as strong as they are now. Grieving people just sit and hold their hand and listen. If they want to talk, they will say if they want anything. Been through a lot of grief in the last 6 years. Brenda, that's excellent advice. You know what I do, honestly? If I'm in the home with someone that's grieving, my first goal is to not stare at them. I think this is a great piece of advice. Because one of the first things when you lose someone that you love, especially if that life partner's been with you a long time, one of the first things that you feel is like everybody's staring at you, like the person who used to take half of the attention of the entire world is gone. And now all of that attention is on you. And I think it's a very difficult thing. So I usually disappear for real. I'll go over to a friend's house or a relative's house and I'll say, I'm here. I'm going to clean up some stuff downstairs and vacuum. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to get away from you, but I'm going to be in this house. So if you need me, or you need anything, come and grab me. But I'm not going to sit here and stare at you. Right? It's not that good a thing, right? Not going to let that happen. Big up, Flemwad. Stay solid. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing, people. The best part of the sobriety game is that so let's say on June 27th of this year, it'll be 9 years without heroin. Pretty happy about that, right? And that's a big deal, right? But I got to do today. It's not a cliche, man. I just got to get through today. And I did that for the last almost 9 years. I don't think about it in terms of I got to go the rest of my, there's no chance in hell I'm ever going to use. They say, never say that, man. Man, don't say that. You can't say that. Oh, I can. I will never use an opiate again as long as I live. I'll never put that crap in my body. No chance. Why? Because I have learned better than anyone on earth how to get through 24 hours without smack. I got it to a science. I got it to a mother-loving science. And rinse and repeat, man. I get up every day. I do the exact same thing. For real. I don't vary. I mean, what I do during the day changes dramatically, but the plan, the process that I use to stay sober never changes, ever. Never will. I know more than anybody. I know exactly what that first one will do to me. And you know what? So do you. So do you. If you're putting whiskey in your you're having Irish coffee for breakfast. No disrespect to the Irish, that is what they call it. If you're having Irish coffee for breakfast and you stopped by the Lifeboat, you know you have a problem. I'm not telling you you got a problem. You did, right? You're not here because I have a melodic voice that just makes you want to relax. No, you're here because you know you have a drug or alcohol problem. So I don't need to pile that on, right? Doesn't It's not going to benefit you. What you need in your life is not more shame. What you need in your life is a little bit of control. And I don't mean that your life is out of control. It is. Make no mistake, your life is out of control. Out of control. If the coping mechanism in your life is put into a glass with ice cubes, it's time to reevaluate, right? The good news is that it takes a miracle to get sober. It does. The odds are completely stacked against you. It takes a freaking miracle. But we see these miracles every day. They're a dime a dozen. It is a miracle, make no mistake, but they're a dime a dozen. Those miracles are like this, right? Thousands of them. Since I started this boat, thousands of them. Got nothing to do with me, I promise. I'm here keeping me sober. That's what I'm doing. I'm here keeping me sober. In the process, I talk to a lot of people about their particular drug and alcohol problems, and very often about problems that don't have anything to do with drugs or alcohol. Back from the barn, I keep wishing there was something like this, like the Lifeboat. So often during my 30-year sober stint, doesn't have to be a lonely road. I love that, Carol. And I love Carol. Needing a meeting, people, if you've never seen it, it's fun coming here and hanging out. It really is. It's fun. I have a good time doing this. There are times where what I do feels a lot more like a sobriety meeting, right? There are times that it really feels like, sometimes it feels like maybe I'm just talking, or maybe it's a little public speakerish, maybe it's a little preacherish, right? There's some there's that element. There can't not be if you do 1,800 of these shows. You kind of start feeling like a barker at some point, and there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't, right? But I wish that there was something like this back in the day. I wish Carol's meetings are comfort food for the soul. Carol's meetings are real. They're people trying to get sober, sitting down and talking to one another and trying to get sober. And it's pretty amazing stuff to watch that process take place. I go there all the time. I'm lurking there all the time. Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut, but I'm lurking there all the time. Stella, welcome. I love the UK. Love everybody here from the other side of the pond. I really do. But you should absolutely check out Needing a Meeting, because it's there are people who are getting some life-changing stuff there. I love it. I really do. Izzy E, holy crap. Izzy E is doing that hot sauce packets thing. I tell you what, I don't know why that tickled me so bad, but my partner, Quibs, on the other channel said one day, yeah, she's throwing out memberships like hot sauce packets, and I cannot get that visual image out of my mind. I would rather give memberships than buy smokes. Take my nicotine money, folks. Izzy E, you're a pisser, and I love you. I really do. How cool is that, though? Huh? It's a hell of a lot better than nicotine. Is that a hell of a lot better than nicotine, Izzy, or what? Good stuff. It really is. Thank you so much for the support, too. There's a person, I talked about this person yesterday on the boat. There's a person that supports the boat every single month without fail and does not want any recognition for doing it. And I will respect that anytime that somebody says that. But they're going to have to hear this story anyway, because I'm not saying their name. But yesterday was a bitch of a day. There was a lot of crap that took place yesterday, just with this moving stuff and all of that. And we have been alone we had days of alone where we just, you don't care. It's 24 hours a day of working. Like, we were going nuts, running in and out of rooms, screaming, slamming stuff. We talked about it yesterday, maybe even arguing a little. We were like people moving. It was just ugly stuff. Then the other owner of the house came back. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I'm just trying to get everything moved and get it out of here. But that added a whole new level, right, to the stress. It absolutely did. It changed everything. All of a sudden, there was this new layer of crap added to it, and it made yesterday a really ugly day. It's just, there's no other way to say it. There really isn't. But last night I came here and I fired up the Lifeboat and I started to talk, and it's amazing to me how many times I start sitting in front of the camera at YouTube in a really bad mood, right? Just sitting down going, man, I don't want to do this. And 6 minutes into it, I just start feeling like, you know what? Thank God the family's here, right? Russ, good to see you, man. And stop apologizing, brother. Stop apologizing. Russ is working ridiculous hours, man. And you got to understand something. It's a really big deal to me. Yeah, Lumen. Well, he was gone for about 4. It's a really big deal to me. I'm dead serious about this. This going out there and working unbelievable amounts of hours. Is it good for you? Probably not. Now, I recommend it for everybody? No, I really don't. Usually I will try to talk people out of this. I'm not trying to talk Russ out of it because I kind of know where Russ has been. I'm not being a smartass about that either, but I'm probably less likely to bust your balls about working really long hours if I know that you've done some time in the shoe, right? Honestly, because working a 40-hour week, working an 80-hour week, working a 120-hour week, my gut says he's probably worked 80-hour weeks for 9 cents an hour, right? It's a lot nicer when you're getting paid. Misbehaving. I like it. Looking good in green. I really appreciate you. So yesterday, people, I'm going to tell you the story. So yesterday was a bitch of a day, as I was saying. Dude came back home, and again, respectful. I'm not busting this. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just the situation causes, that kind of stress. But I was going through and taking a break, and I got an email from somebody that we've been trying to get into medical assisted treatment. I'll tell you how long. It's a true story. This person reached out to me the day after our friend Buddha reached out to me. And Buddha instantly started to work with us. And this gentleman did not. But this person checks in all the time, but just isn't ready. And their drug of choice is fentanyl. They don't even lie and call it heroin. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a very long time. He's overdosed twice and been Narcaned back. It's just a horrific, it's a stressful, horrific situation. And very much like a lot of people here, started with a relative that reached out. Didn't start with him. He didn't really want, he didn't even want to listen or watch or do anything like that. But I have had an extended invitation to this person to help them get on medical assisted treatment forever. And yesterday, in the midst of all of the crap that's going on in life, this cat decides that's the day. Yesterday was the day that he was ready to put down the syringe and pick up a strip of Suboxone. It's just great timing. And you know what, people? I've in the last month, I've done a lot less of this, right? And a lot more of a lot of other stuff. And when I do a lot less of this, there's a lot less of everything, right? There's a lot less boat. But the person said, I'm ready to do this. Tommy, will you still help me? And I went, absolutely. And I thought to myself, holy crap, I hope we got cash. Now I'd have grabbed my Visa card and I'd have put it on. We've done that before. But this person that quietly donates every single month, I kid you not, when I slid over, right, I knew that this person had sent money because I always know when they do. I get a tone or a notification, but then you forget. Right. So that money had been there probably 3 days, but I have not been over there to look at the account for any reason. So when I went over, it read 000, and I just went, oh, crap. And then when I pulled down the refresh, the money showed up there and the name of the person that sent it. And I can't tell you how bad I wanted to say to this person, This is the name of the individual who is paying for you to get off dope. Maybe someday I'll tell that person that. I think I would want to know. Excuse me. I think if it were me, I would want to know the person's name. Lisa Trimble, thank you so much. I love Lisa Trimble. And Lisa, I hope that your dome is doing well. I know that you're going through some rough stuff, right? We all know that you're going through some rough stuff. How about some thoughts and prayers for Lisa Trimble and for her roommate who's going through it? You know something, Shannon Smith? It is incredible. And I'm telling you, just with this one individual, no joke, just with this one individual, the one other time that this person donated money, I was on the phone with somebody and I said, when someone says, let's do this, you don't want to go, okay, I'll call you back. You don't want to do any of that because that window of opportunity for sobriety closes as fast as it opens. And I've screwed up every way you can. Yeah, let me call you right back. Not going to happen. Hey, you know what? I got to move some. If you take any time, you don't hang up, right? I say, I'm going to three-way you into this. You don't hang up. But one other time I said to a person, and I'm looking down at the account and I knew there wasn't enough money in it. And I just said, listen, I want you to stay on hold with me, right? And I'm going to go borrow my brother Johnny's phone because I'm going to go make some. And you could hear and as I was saying it, I got the tone. Ding. I said, on second thought, stay right where you are. And I want you to download this app. And I start walking the person through the process. But I wish that I could just lay out all of the people that we've been able to help with the boat because of all of you. Very early on in the beginning, it was Mark Wages who said when we were putting together sort of the checklist, the contract, so to speak, the first thing on there is you can't tell anybody that we helped you ever. And I remember saying to him, why would we do that? He said, because if we don't, our boat will become swamped, right? People from all over the internet will be here saying, buy me medical assisted treatment. And I would love to have $30 billion and do that. Every single person that stops by. We're not quite there yet. So in the interim, we spend a lot of time talking to cats. We really spend a lot of time talking to people before we say, we'd like to help you get into medical assisted treatment. I can't tell you how many times this one blows me away. We had somebody that this is probably maybe a year and a half ago. We paid for somebody to get into medical assisted treatment, and about 4 days later, right, maybe 3 days later, it was right after it happened. I got a cash app for every single dollar that we spent. It comes out, it's in just between 300 and like 350 bucks, right? By the time you do everything and pay for all of it to get somebody that first, that start, it's about 350 bucks, doctors, scripts, everything. And the person hit me back, right? I got a email and said, hey, I sent back the money. Well, this person didn't have any money. Like this person was absolutely dead ass broke. And you always get a little nervous when that happens because you think something like, did you sell what I sent you? Like this person had nothing. Well, as it turns out, he had insurance. He was still on with his parents. This is with all due respect, this is a junkie, right? I was a junkie for a really, really long time. The fact that this dude immediately sent me the money back to this day still blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. I wept. I definitely would never have been that person. I would have kept that money. I would have. There's no reason in hell I would have sent it back. At that, I mean, as an addict, there's no way. There's no way. I was speechless. I'm not kidding. I was speechless. I couldn't believe it. But we've got the world doesn't have a real appreciation for the drug addict, for the alcoholic, right? They don't understand, sadly. I think that the reason we're so tight here as a family is because is because the rest of the world doesn't get it. You're right. There are some stand-up people. It was, and you know what? I mean, we gave it to the next person, but it's fantastic that you can. And I mean, honest to God, I had a lump this big in my throat. I just could not believe that. He said, "Yeah, as it turns out, I'm still on my parents' insurance, so it's covering all that. Sent you back your cash." Oh my God! You know what, Matrix Rabbit? Really funny because this person left the lifeboat, not for bad reasons. Person's still sober, and they're still on Suboxone, still being paid for by their parents' insurance as well. But dude's been sober a really long time, and we talk. He left the lifeboat because he just doesn't need to be here, but we talk fairly routinely, and that's what he said to me. He said, "You know what?" He goes, when I found out that it was covered, my first thought was, well, I can do coke in a needle. I'm not addicted to that. That was his first thought. And he said he thought, oh man, if I don't get this cash to him now, I'm going to end up buying drugs with this. So, and I get it, man, I get it. I may have told the story, but so I got out of prison. I'm doing everything right. Right. I'm doing absolutely everything right. And a guy that I'm very close friends with was working for an older gentleman. And he said to me, the guy's got a couple of wristwatches that he lost in his home. And I said, oh, it sucks. He goes, yeah, it's like a 3-bedroom apartment. He goes, but I said, what did he lose? And he said, there are 2 watches from the one from the 1930s and one from the 1950s. One is a Patek Philippe. That's from the 1930s. And the other is a Rolex day date. Okay, well, the day date's 35 grand now, right? They've gone up a lot in price. They're worth a lot of money. They're about 35 grand. And Patek Philippe makes basically the most expensive wristwatches in the world. And I'm like, 2 of them are lost. He said, hasn't seen them in years. He goes, and I've been looking for months. He said, I don't think they're in the house. I think he's kind of delusional. He said, but if you want to help me look, you can come over. Now, I can smell a watch. I said to him, man, you get me over there. I promise you, I'll end up finding them. So I did. I got over there and I said to him, what have you searched? And he says, all of this, right? This. I said, did you look in the stuff underneath the television? He said, I did. When you pull out the drawer underneath the television, I looked down to the bottom of the drawer and there was nothing in it. Absolutely nothing. So I went to put stuff back in it. And when I put the first thing in, I dropped it. And the noise it made when it hit the bottom didn't make sense, right? It looked like a wooden drawer, but the noise it made on the bottom was metallic as hell. The bottom of this thing had like a metal box built into it that was about that tall. And perfect, like took the entire bottom. So if you didn't know it was there, it just looked like the bottom of it. I opened the top of this puppy, and I'm not kidding you. It looked like something from Jack Sparrow and Pirates of the Caribbean. The place we were searching for these watches, the man's family owned casinos, right? Several of them when he was a kid. They've passed since, but I opened the top of this puppy, and there's gold coins, 1-ounce gold coins, a crap load of them. Jewelry out the wazoo, big gold chains, gold necklaces, just friggin' unbelievable amounts of gold. And then a little bit of what looked like silver, and a beautiful Patek Philippe wristwatch was in the box, as was the Rolex. There was $100,000 worth of gold in this box if there was $2 worth, right? I mean, it was a pile. And I started yelling the second I opened it. Honest to God, I started yelling the second I opened it. I said, get out here, get down here, right? He was up in the loft, right, which had kind of a dangerous ladder, but he's coming down this thing, working crowd, going, what's wrong? Came running in the living room, you all right? And he looked at it, he goes, oh, you found it. I said, yeah. He goes, why did you yell? You scared the crap out of me. I said, because I thought if I didn't, I might take this. I'm not kidding. My first thought, right? You got to understand that I spent 30 years stealing shit, right? I spent more than 30 years stealing everything that I saw. This was like, I opened the box and there was all this stuff. And my first thought was, they don't know this is here. They searched this. This is $100,000 worth of gold and wars. They don't know this is here. That was my first thought. So I thought, I better tell him it's here. I better tell him it's here really quickly, because if I don't want to take it. I don't want to steal any of it. Isn't that horrific? But honest to God, my first thought was, take this shit. Right? They don't know how much of this is here. This guy's on the other side of the country. I mean, all of the justifications. This dude's, he's 80 something, dude. He lives in Hawaii. He's never going to, all of those justifications. Shitty aunts, bad aunts, right? So I said, hey, get out here quick, quick, get out here. It's kind of sad, right? But it is what it is. Tracy Range says, I'm back. I had a patient with a question. Some people don't seem to understand Tommy is speaking. Oh, those pesky patients. How dare they? That's kind of funny. I really dig it. Yeah. As far as Lord Kissfreak, my understanding is he is changing, not vocations. He's doing the same thing, but it's going to be a new job. That's right. Starts it tomorrow, says Matrix Rabbit. He's the trucks, that cat. Have you ever seen the pictures of the trucks that he works with? Like little kids. Honestly, if Spanky was still a little kid, he would have had a heart attack, because it's the trucks that this dude that they drive around. You can put 2 or 3 Cadillac Escalades parked in the dump part of this truck, parked, maybe more. I saw a guy on a motorcycle who actually jumped and landed in the back of one. We're talking about really big earth movers, the biggest things you've ever seen. He operates really heavy equipment. I mean, really heavy equipment. So, yeah. So maybe he didn't want to buy any junk. So he sent you the money. He admitted that's exactly what it was. And that's the same reason that I started screaming, get down here and find this gold. Right, quickly. Come down here and look at this. And I'll tell you something. If we're doing full honesty, okay, this was also over a year ago now that this happened. And I'm a stronger person now than I was a year ago. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But after we gave him all the stuff, first thing he did was said, take I want you to take the Rolex, and I want you to take the Patek. I want you to take them back to your place, put them on the time grapher, see if they need a tune-up, see if they're keeping good time, do a little research to find out what they're worth, this and that. And as I was leaving, he said, and I talked to blank, who was the owner, and he said he would like you to have, and he gave me 2 1-ounce gold coins, right? And I said, oh man, you don't have to do that. He said, no, this isn't, because we were being compensated for what we were doing. We were being paid to help pack the entire thing up and move it. He said, no, this is, I think he was pretty shocked. The person that had the watches, I think when he found out that the convict found it with no one else around, I think he was maybe a little shocked. But I remember driving in the car with these coins. And by the way, a year ago, gold was trading right around the time that this happened. Gold was trading as high as it had been basically in my lifetime. And I went with a haste to dump these 2 gold coins because it was a ton of money. It was over $7,000, I think, is what we ended up getting for these coins. I'm proud of it too, but I'll tell you something, just being honest. As I was driving to cash those coins in, I called my gold guy and I said, I got 2. I told him what I had. They were Gaudines. He says, all right, bring them down. We'll get a look at them. And on the way down there, I spent 10 minutes kicking my ass for not stealing everything in that box. I'm not kidding. There was 10 minutes that I couldn't switch the switch in my dome to feel proud. It was not possible. The switch in my dome was telling me just how stupid I was. There was enough cash in there. Good God. And this may sound nuts, but I'm dead serious. The addicted mind, I wasn't thinking to myself, you know what I could have bought with that? The cars, I thought to myself, no joke. You got any idea how many people that would pay for medical assisted treatment for? I'm not joking. I swear to God. How bad is that, right? How unnormal is that? If I had stolen all of this, I could have been a better person. Holy shit. The funked, that was with an N. The funked up mind is really something, isn't it? I have 2 cats here with me. My Coco, and one is a long-haired tortie. Well, you know how I feel about torties. Hi, Tommy from the UK. It's nice to catch a live chat. Well, Dan, it's nice to catch you here in a live chat. Dan Deal. I like it. It's almost like D squared. I kind of like the Dan Deal. Got a nice ring to it. All right, people. Yeah, I am proud that I didn't. But you know something? Wouldn't you have felt guilty about stealing it, though? I would have probably killed myself, Miradira. See, I've never stolen anything without heroin to make me not feel guilty about stealing it. Did you catch that? I could steal because my drug of choice removed guilt, it removed shame, it removed all emotions that were negative. It also removed all emotions that were positive. It just removed all emotions. I didn't care anymore. You understand? Nothing. It was so I could go and steal and not feel guilty about doing it. Right? It's just that easy. Crazy too. But yeah, it would have killed me. Without without that poison in your life, you can't go steal and feel good about it. Right? Even anybody who steals, I promise you, anybody who steals, there is a moment of guilt in everything that a thief does. There is that moment of guilt. That moment was eliminated by my drug of choice. My drug of choice. I wasn't stealing money, right? I wasn't. Even if I was robbing a bank, I was getting this green papery crap that I have to trade for heroin. Money had zero. It was pointless. I've told the story a million times. I was with my friend Jack, and I had just come back. I'd done a bank, and I had a pile of cash, literally like, I don't remember what it was, $16,000 or something like that, but just a pile of cash on this table. And I called the dope man and said, I need you to bring, I don't remember, $300 worth of stuff or whatever. And he said, nah, we don't have any. Give us to about noon, maybe 1 o'clock. And I'm like, what are you bagging it up? And he goes, no, it hasn't got here. If it hasn't got there yet, we're not getting it at noon. They're not going to have anything bagged up. So you start trying to call everybody you know, just thinking, well, if somebody picked up last night, maybe I can buy what they got, right? And I remember Jack picking up a $100 bill that was on the table. And he picked it up and went like this. Nothing. Stuff's worthless. It's like literally worthless, right? Jabbing it in his nose, rubbing it on his arm. He's like, it doesn't do a thing. And he was being funny. But good God. I mean, that was it. This stuff's worthless. If I can't trade this for heroin, what effing good is it? This stuff's worthless. The only value that money had was that I could trade it for heroin, right? I didn't care about anything else. I wasn't going to go out and buy anything, right? I wouldn't have bought anything. Even at that time in my life, if you had the watch of my dreams at a cheap price, there's no way. I wouldn't have bought it. I wouldn't have bought anything. The only thing I bought was heroin and syringes, right? That was it. And once I found out that I didn't have to pay for syringes, that I could get those for free, the only thing I bought was heroin. That's it. Money was just a way to get that. And it does clear your conscience, right? This is why quitting is such a bitch. You spend 30 years not having a conscience. What do you think happens when you turn it back on? You're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to journal a lot. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to work through stuff, because I started feeling guilty about things that I did in my 20s and 30s when I was in my mid 40s. That's tough. That really is. That's tough. Okay, peeps. What do we got? An hour and 40 minutes, man. Yeah, it was difficult. Now, speaking of difficult, you know what I'm going to do, Shannon Smith? I'm going to go and I'm going to help my best friend pack up the rest of this house. Flies by when you're in good company, doesn't it, Izzy? There's something about the crew of the lifeboat that just makes time kind of go by. So I am going to go and tear this up. I'm going to go and and help my partner here. We're getting closer, people. We really are. I would imagine that everything is going to be done. Plenty of time to get this show on the road. I'm going to be live later tonight on the Lifeboat at the normal Lifeboat time, right? So that's 5 o'clock. No, it's 7 o'clock California time. I will be live at 7 o'clock California time, whether or not. No, squirrel is not just chopped kitty litter. Squirrel is the top of the food chain, and I am working as fast as possible to get back to Squirrel Nut Zipper. I assure you, she's that's my one and only, and I cannot wait to get back to her. But this is one of those situations, and I mean this with no disrespect at all to anybody. But I would be lying if I said otherwise, right? There is no chance on God's green earth that this house could have got packed up if I was not here. I'm not being disrespectful, but this just would not have happened. She definitely needed some help, and I think I was not a bad choice. Thank you, Tommy, and all you crew. My rage has subsided and feeling less anxious. You're all amazing, and I love you all. Love is my default. You know what? There's nothing wrong with love as a default setting. I'm so glad your rage has subsided. And you know what? Come back tonight, Millie the Dandelion, if you're still up, because we're going to have a little fun tonight. I promise. I hope that the packing goes quickly. I also think that there's a chance you're going to see Spanky doing his 5 o'clock is when in Cali time is when the boat normally goes live. That's Spank's slot. I do the 7 o'clock show, and I think when Spanky is back, I'm still going to do the 7 o'clock show. I like that time slot. It's the end of the day, and I just kind of dig it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be there. I think Spanky's probably going to be doing something, but I'm not sure. Connection has become my addiction. I think I'll leave you with that. Tracy Range, I love that. I absolutely love that. I really do. All right, people. I am the Admiral around this campus. We will see you tonight. Thoughts and prayers for everyone that needs them, including Spanky. All right. Good night, peeps. Bye-bye.